up on Cronkite News, we'll take a look at the status of the election and what this could mean for Arizona.
Plus, all the ballots have been cast, but close elections in Arizona may require a recount. We'll look at how a bill introduced earlier this year could affect when we'll have election results.
And later, Brittany Griner was transferred to a Russian penal colony. How the U.S. is responding.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Maddie Freeze.
And I'm Ryan Tismaneski. Thank you for joining us. On Election Day, you may have gone to bed seeing Arizona Democratic candidates having a large lead. But today, experts say the reality is a much different race. Reporter Alexia Stanbridge is in the newsroom to tell us more about the status of this election.
Some experts are calling it a blue mirage and red surge, a result of Democrats voting early and Republicans transitioning to voting on Election Day. But political experts I spoke to say many of the Arizona races are tight and anyone could come out with the win.
We saw blue waves, we saw red mirages, blue mirages. We've seen it all in the last 24 hours.
Bill Scheel, a political consultant and partner at Javelina, says so far this election has been good for Democrats and says in Arizona he hasn't seen the red wave that many were expecting.
I think we've seen a fairly standard midterm election.
Elevate Strategies owner Lorna Romero Ferguson agrees, saying that the Republican dominance has not necessarily come to fruition.
Voters are pretty much in the middle right now, and a lot of these races are still very close.
Romero Ferguson says the strategy that has worked best for candidates in Arizona is to run as a moderate. She says for Republicans, Trump visits and endorsements may have been helpful in the primary, but didn't give them much lift in the general.
Voters like middle of the road type candidates here. They like people who are independently minded, who are not beholden to a certain party or to a certain person.
High Ground Incorporated COO Doug Cole says the Trump endorsement strategy works differently for each candidate, but says one thing's for sure, Arizona, the once dark red state, is turning purple.
I think what we saw out of this election cycle is voters are very discerning on who they vote for. They're willing to split their tickets.
Some of the races are still so close. The experts warn to be patient. It may be Friday or even later before all the races are decided. In the newsroom, Alexia Stanbridge, Cronkite News.
Election day may be over, but there are still hundreds of thousands of ballots left to be counted. Cronkite News reporter Valeria Rodriguez has an update from Maricopa County officials on the progress.
I'm here at the Maricopa County Tabulation Center, where you can see that many are working hard to tabulate your ballot. They'll be working Veterans Day weekend and this weekend to ensure that every vote counts. County Recorder Stephen Richards says that there are still over 400,000 ballots to be counted, and the majority of them are early ballots. He says that there are about 275,000 ballots dropped off at polling locations on Election Day. That is an increase of 100,000 compared to Election Day in 2020. Chairman for the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, Bill Gates, says another portion of ballots that still need to be counted are the ones that voters had to place in a compartment of the tabulation machine, labeled Box 3, due to technical issues.
We have about 7% of the total of in-person ballots yesterday that went into Box 3. So that 17,000 ballots is about 7%. We always have ballots that go into Box 3. We always have ballots that are not read into the tabulator, but that is a higher percentage than normal.
County leaders say that there will be an update on votes every evening and hope to have 95 to 99% of the votes counted by Friday. In Phoenix, Valeria Rodriguez, Cronkite News.
All ballots are in, but the election is far from over. There are many close races that might cause a recount. Alyssa Munoz explains the new automatic recount bill that was introduced earlier this year.
After a close presidential race in 2020, the Senate Bill 1008 lowered the percentage of votes needed to trigger a recount from 0.1% to 0.5%. This means an automatic recount of the votes will happen if a candidate wins by 0.5%. For example, if the 3 million ballots are cast in a race and the difference in the votes between the two candidates is less than 15,000, this would mean that there would need to be a recount for that race. I spoke with Allie Bones, the Assistant Secretary of the state, who says nothing will happen until the election canvass on December 5th.
On that date, whatever races fall within that 0.5% threshold that are federal, state, or legislative races, we will have to basically go to court and petition the court to order an automatic recount in those races.
Bones goes on to say the process of the recount can take up to a couple of weeks to get results. With several close races this election, we could see more than one recount. In the studio, Alyssa Munoz, Cronkite News.
Navajo Nation may have a new president. The Associated Press is reporting that Boo Nyron will replace current president Jonathan Nez. According to the AP, Nyron won the election by about 3,500 votes, with all 110 precincts reporting. Nyron's running mate, Rochelle Montoya, will be the first woman to serve as vice president of Navajo Nation.
Here in the Valley, the lack of truck drivers creates delays in garbage collection in some Phoenix neighborhoods. The city of Phoenix creates incentives to attract new drivers. Cronkite News reporter Valeria Rodriguez explains what the incentives are.
If you drive down Phoenix streets, there's something obstructing the beauty of the neighborhood. Piles of trash nearly my height could be seen all across Phoenix due to staffing shortages. The city of Phoenix is experiencing a shortage of commercial drivers with a 20% vacancy and is creating incentives to decrease that vacancy.
We also have a hiring incentive right now of $2,500 for applicants. So we're just encouraging people to apply, come join a great organization, come join a great workforce.
Most of the bulk trash is seen in different Phoenix neighborhoods and are sitting there for weeks before being picked up. Community members understand why the trash is piling up.
I understand the city's having trouble finding licensed drivers to drive their trucks. It's resulted in a delay in picking it up.
Some areas we're just a couple of weeks behind, but there are parts where we are 4 weeks behind, and we're working as quickly as possible to get caught up.
The city of Phoenix asks people to not include toxic chemicals like chlorine in their bulk trash, to bag their leaves, and to make sure all trash material length does not exceed 4 feet. In Phoenix, Valeria Rodriguez, Cronkite News.
Starting November 28th, all municipal employees who are in a commercial driver's license position and have a valid license will receive a raise of $3 per hour. That is on top of the $2,500 hiring bonuses for new waste equipment operators.
Coming up after the break, getting your kids into music lessons just got more affordable. We look at a local music academy that just expanded its program.
Plus, we have some clouds and even some rain rolling in over the valley. We have your full weather forecast coming up.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
A local music academy provides free music education to low-income families. Rosie's House began with 15 students in a small home, but now offers music education to hundreds of students. Sydney Whitty has more on a program that sets down traditional instruments and picks up a keyboard.
For more than 25 years, Rosie's House has allowed students to find a voice in music. But it's only been for the last few years that they've turned up the volume on their digital music program, which is attracting a new generation of artists to the power of music. When you think of songwriting, classical instruments may come to mind. But in this class, students like Josh Correa produce and play music with the click of a button.
Since I already know how to play piano, I can kind of use it to my advantage.
In the digital space, they can manipulate and arrange hundreds and you could say even up to thousands of different sounds in a way to make their own composition and be a creative person.
The digital music program at Rosie's House allows students to connect with music through rhythm, melody,
hear that little buzzy sound,
and form. It's something teacher Jacob Unterreiner wishes he had access to when he was in school.
Very much felt like there wasn't a space for me to sort of belong or express the things that I wanted to express musically.
Rosie's House mission is to eliminate barriers to music education. They offer free music classes to kids in underserved communities.
What is that?
There are over a handful of different classes to choose from, but it's up to the students to decide which one they connect with most.
Bravi tutti.
Over 200 students participate in the piano program. But for students in the digital music program, this is the perfect instrument.
The computer is their instrument. It's their instrument to create with, right? But the muse and the inspiration still comes from within.
Thanks to a new grant, more than 15 digital music students get to use state-of-the-art equipment for their creative process. For Josh, this class is a place to let go and unwind.
I honestly look forward to having the time to just make music because it's like a great way for me to kind of get away from everything and just like relax.
Whether they find the beat here or here, Rosie's House is a place where students learn music and lifelong skills.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Rosie's House is the largest provider of free music and after-school programs in the nation, and they put on more than 50 concerts a year. In the newsroom, Sydney Whitty, Cronkite News.
Just 6 weeks after Hurricane Ian devastated parts of Florida, the state is bracing for yet another storm. Tropical storm Nicole is expected to strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane overnight. Nearly 36 Florida counties are under a state of emergency, and some are beginning to issue mandatory evacuations. Nicole is expected to bring heavy rain and dangerous winds when it makes landfall early Thursday morning. The November storm is rare. A hurricane hasn't hit the U.S. this late in the year in nearly 4 decades.
A winter storm seems to be approaching Arizona. Peyton Major is in the Weather Center with what we can expect.
Today's really been a soaker for some parts of the valley. A cold front passed overhead this afternoon. Now currently it's moved outside of the Phoenix area and it's going to continue moving southeast this evening, but by overnight it'll be out and will leave cool, dry air behind it. Some areas aren't just seeing rain. Flagstaff and Williams could see up to 2 inches of snow through Thursday, and the Grand Canyon could pick up 3 inches. This evening there won't really be much more rain, but we could see some scattered showers and we'll dip into the 50s by 9 to 10 p.m. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be quite chilly. We'll wake up at 49 degrees here in Phoenix, 50 in Yuma. Up north will be well below freezing, especially in Flagstaff and Grand Canyon. But tomorrow, our daily highs will be in the 70s in Phoenix, in the 40s up in the high country, and in the 60s along the Colorado River Valley.
Friday is Veterans Day. You might have the day off. It's a beautiful day to get outside. We'll be in the upper 60s in the afternoon hours, but you might want to pack a jacket because we are still trending below normal. And that will still be the case, especially this weekend. We'll be in the 70s and we're going to cool down into the 60s actually on Monday. Keep an eye on that average. Our average is 80 degrees this time of year. So we're still trending well below that range, but luckily there's no rain in the forecast. And the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Peyton Major.
I'm Emily Bernstein. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. GCU men's basketball season is underway, and the rowdy environment made their first home game even more exciting.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
You know what I'm saying?
Try to steer the trouble.
Where's the fun in that?
You know how ladies can be. I'ma do what I do.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
and develop your skills with the latest technology.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. Oh, doesn't that look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work. It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Emily Bernstein. It was announced today that Brittany Griner is being transferred to a Russian penal colony. The transfer began Friday, just one day after U.S. Embassy officials visited her. The move comes far faster than anticipated. She was not expected to be moved for weeks or even months after her appeal was denied on October 25th. Griner's attorneys were not made aware of the move until the following Tuesday and have said they don't know where she currently is or where she's going. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the move was, quote, another injustice layered on her wrongful detention. In other Phoenix basketball news, the Suns face off tonight against the Timberwolves in Minnesota, but they will be missing two key players. Chris Paul will sit tonight due to heel soreness, while forward Cam Johnson is out for 1 to 2 months to rehab his right knee after a successful surgery on his meniscus. The Suns currently have a losing record on the road despite dominating at home, and will now be missing vital members in the lineup. Grand Canyon University men's basketball had an exciting opening game on Monday night. Cronkite News reporter Lindsay Selzer experienced the Lopes' first victory of the season and the electric energy of the fans.
GCU basketball took on Montana State for their first game of the season. This matchup proved to be a tough one for the Lopes.
Montana State, NCAA tournament team, picked to win their league, extremely well coached, and they hit us in the mouth in that first half. They were way more physical. And they could kind of put us on our heels, and they just dominated the half. I'm very disappointed in how we came out and matched their physicality and toughness at the beginning.
Although GCU ended the first half with a 17-point deficit, that did not extinguish the fiery energy of the fans.
Definitely don't win if it's not for the Havocs and the energy in the building. I thank them for staying. Someone could have left at halftime. And they stayed with us and gave our guys much needed energy when we were tired in those last 8 minutes.
The Lopes fed off the crowd's vivacious spirit and came back in the second half to eventually defeat the Bobcats 60-54. Sophomore Jovan Blackshear Jr. finished with a team high of 18 points.
Our Havocs are great. First half, they were pumping us up. We kind of let them down a little bit. We felt it. We knew we needed to bring our own energy to get them back with us. And when they're behind us, we just thrive more. So.
In Phoenix, Lindsay Selzer, Cronkite News.
Grand Canyon men's basketball takes on San Diego Christian College tonight, back in GCU Arena at 7 p.m. At Arizona College Prep, a senior on the Knights football team has taken a unique route to where he is now. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Blank went to Chandler to trace his journey.
Finding the end zone.
Baruch Stevens for the Knights touchdown.
Is almost a family tradition for Baruch Stevens.
You know, it's something that I knew that I could bond with my brother and family, so it was one of those things where I kind of got thrown into it and then really started to embrace it.
The Arizona College Prep senior started playing football at the age of 6.
Baruch never really had a chance because we're just a football family. You know what I mean? I've grown up with football. Jeanette's grown up with football.
But Baruch wasn't always destined to grow up around the game. Considering his journey to playing under the Friday night lights began 8,900 miles away in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. Baruch was put up for adoption by his birth mother at the age of 5.
She wanted me to have a better future. She knew at that time she wouldn't really be able to provide the opportunities that I would have had in the U.S.
The Stevens, who had 2 naturally born children and 1 adopted daughter from China, were looking to adopt again. And in May of 2010, the couple traveled to Ethiopia to bring home their son.
Adoption was just never a plan B. It was just a when we were going to do it. It's just kind of our way of life. There's kids who need homes. We have a home and we have the room, so that's why we did it.
Though Baruch did not fully comprehend why his birth mother put him up for adoption, as time went on, he not only learned to understand why, but is grateful for his mother's decision.
It's one of those things where I'd be proud and I'd want to thank her because there have been so many opportunities that have arisen for my adoption, and I know that it was just a hard decision for her.
Baruch is thriving here in Arizona and is taking advantage of every opportunity that comes his way. When he was younger, he tried other sports, like soccer, but ultimately, he found his second home here, on the football field.
You always want to, coach the really good kids that do everything the right way, and he's one of those kids. His effort and leadership, you want to follow the kid.
We won the lottery with Baruch. I love all 4 of our kids, but he is the one I know I can count on. He's a constant. That's what I love and appreciate about him. I can't imagine our family without him.
When Baruch reflects on the road he has traveled, he draws strength from the obstacles he has overcome.
I know that it was a big journey. A lot of people couldn't necessarily relate to it, but it's something that I'm proud that I went through.
While his days as a Knight are numbered, Stevens looks forward to continuing his journey with football and beyond. In Chandler, Ryan Blank, Cronkite News.
Stevens is currently weighing his options between different schools in Minnesota to further his football career. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Maddie.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, a cargo spaceship docked this morning at the International Space Station. We'll tell you about the problems the project faced and the critical mission it will serve.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News.
Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
NASA's Cygnus spacecraft landed at the International Space Station this morning. The spacecraft left Virginia Monday carrying more than 8,000 pounds of science experiments and supplies with only one solar panel functioning. And NASA says one of its 2 solar arrays failed to deploy just hours after launching. At first they tried to fix it, but decided it had enough power to reach the destination. It will remain at the space station until January.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.